D. You know what's good. We're previewing UFC Vegas 43 today. Um, Misha Tate versus Vieira is the main event. Card kicks off. Adrian Yanez versus Dave Grant is going to be the opening fight on the main card. Grant's coming in 13-5, 8 wins via submission, never been knocked out in his career. He has been submitted in 4 out of 5 of his losses. He's 4-4 in the UFC. He's got wins over Marlon Vera, Martin Day, and Jonathan Martinez, and then he lost his last fight back in June against Marlon Vera, which makes him 1-1 against Vera. He's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. He'll be going up against black belt in jiu-jitsu, Adrian Yanez. 14-3 is Yanez, never been finished in his career, 9 wins by knockout, 3-0 in the UFC. He's got 3 TKO victories. All 3 of his victories in the UFC are by TKO. Victor Rodriguez, Gustavo Lopez, and then most recently Randy Costa in July. 2 out of 3 of his losses via split decision, Miles Johns and Domingo Polarate, which means that 2 out of 3 of his losses, at least one judge thinks that he won the fight. He won bonuses in all 3 of his UFC fights. He's a very exciting fighter. Good striking, good submissions, good grappling. I think Davey Grant's best path to victory here was grappling, maybe the jiu-jitsu game. But what the fuck? But I'll just scoot over a little bit. Adrian Yanez is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so I think he will easily be able to neutralize the grappling and keep the fight standing and work his game. Now, if the fight goes to a decision, I think that's going to get scary for Yanez. David Grant's got really good cardio, and it'll be interesting to see what happens if it gets to the second, third round. But I'm going to go Adrian Yanez, more than likely a TKO, first TKO. Grant suffers, or a decision win for Adrian Yanez. Either way, Yanez all the way. Johan Calderwood's taking on Talia Santos. Calderwood is a 19-2 as a professional kickboxer, 15-6 as a professional mixed martial artist. She's never been knocked out in kickboxing or in MMA. She's 7-6 in the UFC. Last fight was split decision loss to Lauren Murphy. I personally thought she won that fight. That was at UFC 263 in June. She won 2 world titles in kickboxing. And she's going up against Talia Santos, who's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, 3-1. What am I talking about? 18-1. Sorry, never been finished in her career. 10 wins by knockout, 2 by submission. She's 3-1 in the UFC. Lost her debut by a split decision to Mara Romero Barella. And that was 2019. Won 3 straight by decision against Molly McCann, Jillian Robinson, and Roxanne Modafferi. She's going to come in with a 2.5-inch reach advantage. Johan Calderwood, I think, is going to be a little bit better of a striker. I know that she's coming in at plus 220, sorry. So I guess the odds makers are thinking that Santos' striking is going to be a little bit far past Calderwood, maybe. But I definitely think Santos has a grappling advantage over her. But when it comes to kickboxing and striking, I don't know. I think that Calderwood's going to be able to use her leg kicks really well, and I think that both of these ladies are decision fighters. Neither one of them is a standout Amanda Nunes type of finisher. So I mean, in these kind of fights, it can go either way. At a minus 300, Santos taking the underdog here would be smart. I'm going to pick the underdog. I'm going to go Johan Calderwood, but I think that just if somebody wanted to lay some money on this, they'd probably make a pretty big penny by betting a little bit of money on Calderwood. And these type of fights, when there's this high of a level of skill, I think it's a 50-50 when it comes to women's MMA, man. I talk about it all the time on Boy Ian. Women's MMA is real up in the air when it gets to the top of the division like that. Rose beat Joanna, Jessica Andrade beat Rose then beat Jessica Andrade, Wally Zhang beat Jessica Andrade, and then Rose beat Wally Zhang. It's just, it's 50-50 when it comes to those high level. I mean, I know, Rose beat her twice. Rose beat Joanna twice, right? So, I mean, there's some instances where, Amanda Nunes is undefeated. Nobody could beat her. So there's some instances where, same for Valentina Shevchenko, where there's a little bit of a dominance. But, when it comes to like 2, 3, 4 ranked women in the division, I think it gets a lot more close, and especially when both women have, both finishing abilities, but, they're not known to finish fights. So I'm going to go Calderwood. I'm going to go underdog there, which leads us to Hana Yaya versus Kang Ho Kang. Yaya, second degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, black belt in Muay Thai, 27-10-1-1 is his professional record. 21 wins via submission, 6-7 by decision though. 1-1-1 in his last 2 years of fighting. Decision loss to Ricky Simone, draw to Enrique Barloza, and then a submission win over Ray Rodriguez in March, his most recent fight. Kang is coming into this fight with a 4-inch reach advantage, blue belt in jiu-jitsu, 18-8-1, 6-2-1 in the UFC. Hasn't fought since his split decision win over Liu Pingyang in December of 2019. So almost 2 years off for this guy. 11 wins via submission, and he's 5-5 by decision. The key takeaway for these two fighters is that when it goes to a decision, it's up in the air. These guys are both grapplers. Normally when grapplers fight to decisions, it's going to be up in the air. It's going to be, you had X amount of time control. You did X amount of damage. When it was standing, you lost. When grapplers go to a decision like that, it's normally because they're fighting somebody who's good at striking and just doesn't really have, they weren't able to finish him standing. So, it's the time of striking versus the time of grappling, and 6-7, 5-5, it's going to be pretty even. But the thing that stands out to me here is second degree black belt versus blue belt. I think 11 wins by the submission is impressive for Kang. Hasn't fought in 2 years. Hana Yaya is not the guy to be coming off 2-year layoff, coming to fight off a 2-year layoff, and being as though his dominancy is grappling, and he's fighting one of the most dominant grapplers in that division. Tough task for Kang. I'm going to go Hana Yaya there as well. Michael Chiesa, Sean Brady, a fight that a lot of people are looking forward to see if Chiesa can deal with the striking of Brady. Although, this is another fight that kind of appeals to the striker versus grappler kind of setup. But Brady comes into this fight a black belt in jiu-jitsu, whereas Chiesa will come into this fight as a purple belt. So I think two belts below a black belt. 3-inch reach advantage goes to Michael Chiesa. He's 18-5, 11 wins via submission. 4 out of 5 of his losses, though, are also via submission. He's 0-1 by knockout. He lost his last fight by submission to Neil Magny at UFC 265 in August. He's 11-5 in the UFC. He's got wins over Beneil Dariush, Carlos Condit, Diego Sanchez, Rafael dos Anjos, and didn't I just say he lost to Neil Magny? I don't know why it says he won. Now it's going to make me go look, man. How do I write in the notes that he won against Neil Magny and he lost? He might have. He might be 1-1. Let me see. He lost to Vicente Luque via submission in his last fight, not Neil Magny. 3.5-inch height advantage, 3-inch reach advantage over Sean Brady. Brady 14-0, 4-0 in the UFC. His wins include Court McGee, Ismail Naridov, Christian Aguilera, and Jake Matthews. He's got 7 wins via finish, 4 by submission, 3 by knockout. Knockout power, easily big knockout power in his hands. He's a great grappler. He's going to come in with a big size advantage over Chiesa, but I think if he can get the fight to the ground, which he should want to do, Chiesa with no knockout wins, I think even if they stand with the reach advantage, I think somehow Sean Brady is still able to get on the inside and finish Chiesa. If it goes to the ground, although Chiesa being a little bit longer may be better for him with chokes in his guard and shit like that. But very close fight in my opinion. As far as grappling, I'm going to go Sean Brady just because I feel like if they stand at all, every fight starts standing. Sean Brady's going to have a good chance there. So Sean Brady via TKO or submission. I think if he hurts him and gets him on the ground, he can put him in a choke, and Mike Chiesa could be in for a long night. Keelan Vieira versus Misha Tate in the main event. Vieira's coming in 11-2, 5-2 in the UFC. Decision loss to Yana Kunitskaya in her last fight in February. Knockout loss to Irina Aldana in 2019. She fought once a year since 2018, so this will be her first time fighting twice a year since 2017. She's black belt in jiu-jitsu and judo. She got 4 submission wins, 2 by knockout. 2-inch height, 3-inch reach advantage coming in against Miesha Tate, who is a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, 19-7. Had a 5-year layoff from 2016 to 2021. Won her first fight back via TKO over Marion Renew in July. 5-4 in the UFC prior to her comeback. And she has 11 finishes, 7 by submission, 4 by knockout. Again, man, there's levels to jiu-jitsu, and I know every school is different. So a school that gave Keitlan Vieira a black belt may also have given Miesha Tate a second-degree black belt. She just trains at a different school. You never know. I get that. But Keitlan Vieira has shown to be a very, very dominant grappler. Miesha Tate, in her last fight against Marion Renew was retiring. She was 40-something years old. She kind of came into that fight showing that, she was back. Miesha Tate was back. But on the other hand, I'd like to see her fight someone somewhat in the prime of their career, a very good grappler and with very good striking. Reach advantage on Vieira's side. I think this one's hard to go to Miesha Tate. I'm going to go Keitlan Vieira just on the safe side, but very, very, very close fight in my opinion. Prelims round out Tucker Lutz versus Pat Sabini. Rafa Garcia versus Natan Levy. Luma Lukbunmi versus Lupi Godinez. Fraziem versus Terrence McKinney. Shout out Terrence McKinney. He has had, I think, in his last 5 fights, all first-round finishes, and only 2 of those going past 1 minute. I think one was 1 minute and 12 seconds. One was 1 minute 21 seconds. So all 5 of those TKO victories in his last 5 fights, all under 2 minutes in the first round. Shout out Terrence McKinney. Hopefully he keeps it going here. Cody Durden versus Quiling Iori. Sean Soriano versus Shay Lang. Nuradabensky. And then Luna Pihino versus Sam Hughes. Shout out Dutch Fork High School. Sam Hughes coming in. I think her last fight I had her as the favorite. She's coming in this fight as the underdog, as well as her first fight. I think she fought Tisha Torres in her first fight. It's a tough UFC debut. But hopefully she bounces back here with Pinheiro. Let's see what is next. December 4th. Oh, so we skip Thanksgiving weekend. Shame. December 4th will be Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. Brad Riddell, Rafael Fiziev. Jimmy Crute, Jamal Hill. That's a great fight. Let's see any other ones in the announced bouts. Brian Barberina, Matt Brown. That's going to be a fucking brawl. Clay Guido, Leonardo Santos. Felipe Lenz gets his Azmat Marakanov booked. Mallory Martin, Cheyenne Bays. Great card. Good card leading into another pay-per-view. Oliveira Poirier, December 11th. Dude, we got another big layoff. I know they like to do like these end-of-the-year events. The December 18th event, I guess, is going to be the end-of-the-year event. But, dude, why in the hell 15 days in December? We're going to go 2 weeks. We're going to go fucking an entire month. 3 days shy of a month with no UFC from December to January. It's fucking bullshit, man. You know what I'm saying? They got every promotion out there. All these other promotions, they do big shit for the new year cards. Fucking Bellator always does a New Year card. Fucking all these events. That's something to capitalize on, man. I know they want to spend time with their family, but dude, you got so many fighters on the roster. You have to be able to make a card full of guys that maybe, don't have kids or whatever, man. There's a bunch of guys I know you could put on cards like that if you had like a December 29th or whatever the fuck weekend is after Christmas or something like that. Even if it wasn't the weekend of New Year's, if it was the weekend right before that, I mean, fucking a month off, dude. It's insane. It is insane. See you back here next Tuesday. Stay barbecue. You know what it is. Peace out, fucks.